Good morning. Welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvey, and I'm excited to be joined by Alex Hogue. He's got 12 years of real world experience, and he's going to be showcasing the latest Premiere Pro updates in action. He's going to use high energy mountain bike footage, and he'll walk through his process for editing a vertical format brand video for social, highlighting new performance boosts, smarter media handling, and time saving tools. Boy, good morning to Alex. How's it going?
Hey Ryan, I'm doing well. Good to be back on the Adobe Live stream.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. What have you been getting into since your last Adobe live stream?
Oh gosh, it's probably been a little while since I think the last one was actually at headquarters in San Francisco a little while ago. So all kinds of things, mostly extracurricular activities that aren't video, doing my diving course, search and rescue, that sort of stuff, and then just keeping busy with work.
Very cool. Very interested in the time down the road, not today, but in future episodes when we get to see some underwater footage from you and get some underwater
Got a,
edits.
got a bit to learn before I get there, but yeah,
For
we'll make it
sure.
happen.
So I gave a little bit of a preview as to what we were going to work on. I kind of stole your thunder. I apologize. But do you want to walk us through a little bit what you want to focus on today?
Yeah. So I think today what we're primarily going to focus on is going to be kind of big picture changes that have happened in Adobe. And I kind of want to just focus from version 25 onward. So version 25 was released late last year. And if you just search, on Google, what's new in Adobe Premiere Pro, you can scroll this huge list of like all the stuff the Adobe team has been working on. And a lot of it's behind the scenes stuff. So kind of today, what we'll talk about is some of those changes that are happening kind of behind the scenes to make Premiere faster, make workflows better, make it just look better, that sort of stuff. So there's all sorts of new things, enhanced H.264, dynamic waveforms, little things. There's big things like generative AI, the media search intelligence bar, that sort of stuff. And I think we're going to utilize a project. I just actually edited this project for this stream, so it's a little rough on the edges, but I think it works well. It's some footage I shot late last year. So we'll kind of play around and use that footage to talk and showcase everything.
All right. Well, I'm excited to hop into a bunch of that different stuff. I'm excited. I can see on your panel right there with your audio waveforms, you're also playing with increase and decrease decibels there. And you have the
Mhm.
little like pointer line graph, which we'll have to talk more about. You got some lines. Um, and then also you got some
Squiggles.
beautiful imagery. Where in the country did you film for this content?
Yeah, so me and my business were based out of Bend, Oregon, and this was a production for a company called Hollywood Racks. I think they're actually based down in LA, but they were brought me and another guy on for photography and video, just a short afternoon. And this is shot in Sisters, Oregon, so probably about a half an hour from where I live, and one of the local mountain bike trails.
Gorgeous. Very jealous over on the East Coast. We don't have mountains like that. So very excited to see your work, but also excited just to see the landscape.
Yeah, I mean, it's such I'm very lucky to live here and have this in my backyard. So love it here. If you haven't been to Bend, come check it out. But maybe wait a couple months because usually August and September we get all the smoke from the fires, which is not the time to come. So but July's a great time. So
Not very
yeah, we
video
can get into
friendly.
it. Not very video friendly. Okay. So should I go ahead and just kind of jump in?
Yeah, let's hop on in. Let's check it out. Do you want to do a preview of what we're going to work towards, Martha Stewart style, or do we want to work kind of from the ground up?
Let's go Martha Stewart style. I'll play this through and we can take a look at the content that we have. And we're not going to go through the entire edit. Like I said, we'll kind of stay more big picture and talk about features and just how to kind of speed things up. I have a lot of time in Premiere, like 12 years. So things have changed quite a bit. So if you haven't been working in Premiere and you're thinking about coming over or you've just recently switched over, there's all kinds of changes that have happened, since 12 years ago. But also just in the last, several months, the Adobe team is working super hard on taking the community feedback. I'm also part of a group on Adobe called the Odyssey group, and we meet usually weekly or bi-weekly to kind of discuss what the editing community wants and what they're looking for. And there's a group of us, then Adobe will come over and say, hey, what do you think about this feature? How's this working, what's not? And they want genuine, honest feedback, which is so awesome to have a company that's actually, they've really taken a lot of considerations for the community in the last like 2 years to improve some of this stuff. And all of this takes a long time for it to, you know, to be brought into the program. And there's a lot of really cool things coming. So what we're going to see today is just kind of the tip of the iceberg of what's changing. So let's go. Excuse me. Let's go ahead
Looking
and play
forge
through
ahead then,
this.
I guess.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go full screen here and let me make sure this
Now,
is
what did you just press
unmuted.
to go full screen?
Yeah. So we did the control tilde or command tilde. So, and you just do that right over the program window here, and then we'll space bar to play it. It might lag for a second, but usually it catches up here. And this is, again, it's a vertical edit. It's just 45 seconds long. Something for social media to kind of highlight the car rack company and just like more of a brand lifestyle sort of piece.
It's not about who knows where you went or when you'll have service. It's the energy, the sound of the trail, the vibration through the bars, and the quiet that lasts long after the ride.
All right.
Massive.
So
Makes me want to go outside.
well, it's doing its job. So we got a couple different things happening here. I'll just throw it out. Did anyone in the chat happen to notice one of those shots has generative AI on it and is AI generated for part of it?
I didn't even
Did
clock it.
anyone actually notice what shot that was? Yeah, it's really good. So it's actually this first shot here, and that's a good place to start off. We're gonna jump around a little bit today, but obviously, I mean, if you've been around Adobe in the last couple months, I'm sure you've heard of generative extend. So I just want to kind of showcase what it is in case you haven't. So if I scroll up here, we have this AI generated section right here, which if I play through slowly here, you can not even tell. You can maybe see a couple pixels, but what this is good for is it's really, I look at it as an editor more of a tool as opposed to like a gimmick to try to fool people that, hey, we can recreate something. It's only good for 2 seconds, which is usually enough to extend a shot a little bit if you need to, or to do a cross dissolve that takes a couple extra frames. And let's take a look at the original. I'll turn this off. So this one right here is my original shot, and it's a 4K shot. Now, generative extend works on 30 frames and lower, so like 24 frames a second, 30 frames a second. It's not quite there yet for 60 frames, but you could always transcode your footage and use it that way. So here's the shot. Let's go ahead and make this a little bigger so you guys can see,
John's in the
hopefully.
chat, by the way, saying mountain biking in Bend.
Woo! Okay, we got someone who's been to Bend. Let's go. Sean, where have you ridden? I'd love to know. But they're actually building a whole bunch of new trails here, so super exciting. All right,
Speaking of
so
which, just a real quick hello to John and Robert Apurva, Black Becky, Clever, whole gang's here. Everyone's saying hello. I do see you. This is a promise. We are live. Just wanted to hop into things.
yeah, well, yeah, and I always tend to talk a lot, so make me stop and let's move on and address some of the chat as well. So this shot here, this shot does extend. I'm kind of using it as an example in this case, because generative extend for my purposes, I'm going to use it when I really need it, and just to go through and spend a couple hours finding a shot that I need to transition at the exact moment. It's a little rough. So I set this up here, and you can see the shot starts to rotate to the left. And all I want to do for this opening shot is I was like, hey, I just kind of want to continue that rise up. So what you can do, even if you have more of the shot, but you need to change a bit, is we can just shorten this shot a little bit to, about here. So, and right before it starts to do that rotation, and it's going to use this information to generate those next frames. And to do that, it's super simple. Down here on the left, we have the generative extend tool. So this is one of the newer features in Adobe Premiere, and there's putting a lot of resources into it. So I would just imagine it's going to keep growing. And all you do is just click and drag with that tool selected, and we're going to see what happens here. And it's going to upload the footage. Adobe takes privacy and everything very seriously, so there's a lot of transparency there in terms of when AI is generated, which is awesome.
Yeah, I like the tag that it has AI generates.
Yeah, and so when it is generating, you'll see kind of this. Well, right now I have a vertical layout, but you'll see it's, hey, generating AI, that sort of stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of undo that for now because we already have it here, and it does take a little bit of time. Um, but
It's
that's the
also
process.
interesting.
That's how you use it.
I like that. We're constantly trying to find new ways to get through video, especially when it faces and faces. And it's been interesting over the last few years seeing the visual community, what an icon would look like for. So kind of
Hmm.
the little panel there beneath the text left in the marquee guy as an example of generative extension.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing you can do too with generative extend, if you right click on that section, you can see here, you can tell it to generate again. Hey, I didn't like those results. Let's see what else you can do. You can revert back to the original. But also you can give Adobe feedback on this. This is all brand new technology. You're not going to see this in other non-linear editors. So give some feedback. That feedback does go to the Adobe team, and they do take a look at it and try to use it to improve results. So kind of good there. There's a lot to talk about in this edit. So I do want to throw out to anyone in the chat, if we hit on a particular topic that you really want to dive deeper into, just let myself or Ryan know, and we can spend a little bit more time on that. But before I go too much more into here, today's kind of all about, its performance, its improvements, its updates, it's working faster, editing faster. And I think that kind of starts at the surface level of your project layout and kind of how you set things up. So one of the cool things with Premiere is just how I think everything is very customizable. So when I say that, you can change all your window layouts. You can set hotkeys for everything. And as I said, I've been doing this over a decade now, and I start to find little things that work for me. And I would encourage you to, take some time, take a half a day if you need to, and like really figure out what works for you and like the main hotkeys you use. So, for
Yeah, do you
example,
feel
here,
like a lot of your kind of programs at this point is very deviated from vanilla, or do you feel like it still is a lot of kind of out of the box kind of hotkeys?
yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. So like for example, if you've seen any of my other streams, you'll notice like the colors here. I am all about labeling things. Like this is all my voiceover, the yellow, the blue, that's just like ambient sound. Orange is, sound effects. There's a lot of sound design going on in this particular edit. And then if we scroll down more, I have my music layers here and some adjustments to the music at the end here. So I'm a huge fan of like setting hotkeys to labels. So I can easily just highlight this, and on my number pad, I hit 1, 2, 3, and I can just toggle through all my colors and label things because I use labels all the time to quickly identify and just visually see, what's going on really quickly.
Yeah,
And on
I
that note,
noticed while we were watching it, I heard some bike chain sound effects. I heard some bird
mm-hmm,
sound effects. I heard some wind. And I've learned that the longer that you video edit, you think that your timeline's going to um, actually go up, but in reality, it goes down because you end up adding way more sound design as the more video
mm-hmm.
editing you go into. So it gets deeper rather than higher.
Yeah, yeah, and we're gonna talk about some of that and some of the new features of like even these waveforms here. If you scroll down, you can see this is just subtle little things that the Adobe team is working on. This is actually so small, but like so such a big impact to me. And that's this dynamic waveform, which seems very simple, but now, in the most recent version, if you take your pins, you're going to see here, let me zoom in so you guys can see that. But if I adjust this, you can see the waveform shift as well. But
We
if I go
love to see
really loud
that.
here, you also see that it's going to get blown out right here. So it's just a great visual indicator really quick to see, hey, like what parts of my track are really loud and get a sense of trying to level everything without even listening to it. I can look and see, okay, this is a quieter part of the song. Or maybe if it was audio dialogue, it's like, okay, their voice needs to be louder here to kind of match what we're seeing over here. And I
It's
find
so
that
useful.
super helpful.
I
Yeah.
hate
So
audio.
such a
I hate
small
audio
thing.
so much. It's like,
Why?
especially
Why?
the more visual it gets, the better it gets, because the fact that it's not visual is something that I struggle with. So any kind of
Yeah.
indicator that gets it to like show me that it's peaking, that's clipping, from a visual standpoint is super helpful.
Yeah, and kind of going into this whole visual look. So the Premiere team has been working on just kind of making everything look better. In all honesty, one of the things in the feedback from our Odyssey group, a while back was, hey, like some of this stuff looks kind of dated. So like even simple things like rounded corners, just visually, if you're an editor and you have to work in these programs every day, it's nice to have just easy on the eyes and things that look updated and easy to use, like the dynamic waveforms here, colors. And going into that, kind of what I was leading into is the customization of what you can do here. So this is kind of, I'll just drop some little tips for editors or new editors or people that edit all the
Okay,
time.
speed
But
round.
yeah,
Speed tips
so
from Alex Hogue.
these exactly, I don't know how speedy it'll be. Let's not spend too much time on this, but I do want to just showcase it because I feel like it's overlooked. Um, so you're going to see here these buttons at the bottom of the program monitor. These are all customizable. And if you hit this plus button here, you're going to have a whole bunch of options. And I think by default, there's like play, pause. I don't think anyone actually hits play and pause.
No way.
Everyone just uses spacebar. So like get rid of those. They're just taking up space. They're space that you don't need. So all you do is, drag it up here if you don't want it. But that said, there's a lot of great useful tools here, like global FX mute. I think that's on by default. Show rulers and guides. I use those all the time. Toggle proxies. So drag in what works for you and get rid of the ones that don't. Just clean it up. Make it simple. Make it easy on your eyes. You can take screenshots. We can turn on our guides. I can loop my playback. Comparison view. I'll get into that once we get into color a little bit later. But rulers, I feel like a lot of people have no idea that there's rulers in Premiere Pro, and I use rulers and guides all the time. And we'll use the guides later and talk about that.
Now,
So
would you
add
say
this
these are
here.
the main 8 that you probably have down here, or does it change from project to project?
No, I think this is primarily like the ones I find myself using the most. Um, yeah, I think that's the short answer to it.
That's great.
Um, Now to go off of that too, you'll notice the windows that I have open in each of my panels are intentional. It's not just by happenstance. These are the windows and the layouts that I use the most. So we got the properties panel, which is also new in Premiere as of this last year. And my goodness, it is such a great update. It's just a quick way to get to all of your properties without having to go into the deep properties of every single clip over here in effects controls. So really easily, they added crop to this recently, so you can crop your footage without having to go into effects now, add a crop tool, all that. They're just really streamlining and making things quicker. Um, so then I have my properties panel, Lumetri color for coloring, my sound panel, and then search. We're going to get into that in a little bit. Um, and then the other thing too is you can set all of this stuff to keyframes. So you're going to see up here, we have this workspace button and it comes with a bunch by default. I kind of like to set my own, and you can just set up your windows however you want and then hit save new workspace. It's a little, this is kind of like a little tricky if you don't know it, but I like to name my workspaces with a number. So 01, 02, 03. That way, if you set a hotkey to it, the hotkeys are linked alphabetically, not like you can't change the name of these default ones. So if
Okay.
you put numbers and you set it for hotkey 1, 2, 3, they're automatically in order. And I'll show you what I mean by that. But you can set up window layout. So if I hit on my computer. I have Alt Shift 1. We're going to automatically change over to, let's say if I'm doing metadata and wanting to see, whatever information. This is all customizable up here, metadata, comments. So you basically get a more vertical view of your footage and everything that's easier to scroll through. And this is great for laptops. And then I have Alt Shift 2 is kind of just my main standard editing layout. And then I have Alt Shift 3. And again, we're just toggling through different workspaces. And this is the vertical layout because we all do vertical content these days. And it just
Big
makes it
program
so,
monitor.
yeah, you get a bigger program monitor. So little things like that, you can quickly, easily shift things around, super helpful. And if you want to set hotkeys to those, go into keyboard shortcuts here under edit, keyboard shortcuts.
Or
You
the
just type
keyboard
in,
shortcut for keyboard shortcuts is Control Alt
oh,
K.
oh, yes, there you go. I was gonna like, do you know it? Does he know it?
It was
So
just on the
if you
screen.
type
That's all.
in,
I don't have it memorized. I
I
can't
haven't
mimic
used
his.
that one, so that's good. So if you come down here and you type in workspace, this is where it is a little confusing. That's kind of that pro tip there. Name your workspaces with a number because in the hotkeys here, it's just workspace 1, 2, 3, and you really have no way of knowing what that is. And I found out the way that's organized is alphabetically. So if you just put numbers, it's going to put the numbers, in order because alphabetically it gets messy if you don't want, the generic one popping up kind of right in the way or something like
Now,
that.
to that point, if you were to then create a new profile or a new workspace, and then you
Mm-hmm.
were to label it as a number in between 1 and 2, would it then switch out your keyboard shortcuts as well? So that then, like
It
going to
would,
workspace 2
yeah.
would then go to the new one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
So just keep that in
I
mind.
always label things with like a leading digit or two, like 0, 1, or 001, because once you go beyond 10, sometimes things get messy. But yeah, and you can change the names of everything here and you can click and drag and rearrange them. But this order is strictly for when you click here. It's not actually what it is. So alphabetical. That's the key takeaway there.
Perfect. Oliver's saying, I was going to
Um,
say my monitor is full height on the end for vertical. Then I spotted Alex has a vertical layout. Yep. Got to work smarter with it. Got to, adjust to the things that you're working on. And a long time ago, everyone was saying that vertical video wasn't going to last. But boy, oh boy, is it never going to go away ever.
yeah, it's almost become the new standard now. You see
Yeah.
people shooting on cell phones.
Yep.
The other thing here, toggle proxies. I won't go in depth on this, but this is simply to toggle proxies on and off. What is a proxy? That just is going to make your editing like buttery smooth, especially if you have I will say like a less expensive computer. I mean, computers are all expensive. So maybe a computer that doesn't cost $10 million and one that's only $1 million. And the other thing you can see here, all this metadata here, again, just simplifying things, making things work for you. I just right clicked, I'll show that again, in this section up here with name, description. And if I toggle through here, I have all the stuff that's relevant to me, like the stuff I care about, like this is all 4K footage, what's the frame rate, how long is the clip. You can even put ratings in here, all
Do
sorts
you
of
tend to
stuff.
rate your stuff? I've never really used that before.
You know, I it depends on the project. I will say on bigger projects, yes, because you end up getting a lot of footage, and I found it super helpful to just grab these clips. If you open, you can type one by one here and just say, "Hey, this is Canon R3 footage, whatever it is." If you have a lot of different types, it just makes it easier to find things.
Right.
Caveat to that is we're going to talk about the media intelligence search panel, which is kind of like taking over from this. But the key takeaway here is you can customize all your metadata here just to easily see, what's here and what's not. And then you can also set hotkeys to that. So if I want to see all my proxies, I hit Alt, whoops, let's see here, Alt 1, 2, Alt 2, and it goes to my proxy metadata layout. So the way I did that is you just set up here metadata, whatever you want to say, save there, save that setting as a custom. And then from there, you hit this little hamburger menu icon and you can save as a new view preset. And what that is like the order of these, if that makes sense. So if we see everything here, you move this over, that view preset just keeps this order all how it is. So I can see here that I have attached proxies for everything because I have already made proxies for this project, which we see this button here, they're toggled on, toggled off. And you can come in here, right click, go to proxy. You can create proxies from the footage you already have to, which is like a smaller video file. You can attach proxies, detach, all that sort of stuff. So
And are you putting those proxies in the
proxies work great in
same
Premiere.
drive that you have your regular footage on, or do you have like a dedicated drive
Yeah,
for
let's take
your
a look
high
at
quality
that.
footage, and then like you put everything else on your C
It's
drive?
case by case. It depends. A lot of this too, these are kind of great tips if you're editing on a laptop. I'm on a desktop right now, so I actually have multiple monitors here, so sometimes I don't change these layouts too much. But on laptops, if I'm traveling, definitely. And if I go here and I have a hotkey for reveal and explore, which is 0, because
You have a
that's another one
hotkey
I
for
use all the
everything.
time.
When
This
they
is something I
tell
use all the time. So like reveal and explore, reveal and project, set a hotkey for it because I do it all the time.
But
And what
when
I
they
did
tell
is,
people with like dementia that they need to play piano because then it'll like keep their brain active. When you're gonna be
yeah,
80, we're gonna be like, just get Alex his keyboard shortcuts, and we'll keep his brain nice and active.
it's gonna be like Memento or something where you have just like sticky papers everywhere for like, oh, what's that hotkey again when I start getting old and forgetting it. So yeah, to answer your question, this is my original footage. It's all on the same drive, but I make a separate folder within each camera or whatever it is that's just labeled proxies. And then my proxy clip is the exact same file name and then underscore proxy, which I
Cool.
think is actually what Premiere does as default. If you create new proxies, it'll indicate it somehow by just saying, "Hey, I'm a proxy."
Hey, I'm a
W-
proxy.
hey, look at me, I'm a proxy. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into some of it. Now that we've spent a bunch of time on that. So in general, lots of improvements. If you're starting an edit, what I started with on this edit was the music. So let's use this as an opportunity. This little plus icon up here, the search panel. This probably isn't the best example, but since we're here, we're just gonna type in music.
And so you said you normally start with music. It's like
It
before
depends what
sound
it
effects
is.
and voiceovers.
No, not always. A lot of times I typically this is a great question. So, not to spin out on it too much, it depends what the content is. If it's a social edit that's kind of more of a montagey piece, kind of like this, and it's really short, yeah, I typically go and find some music that I think has the right tone and vibe, and I'll edit that to what works well.
Cool.
If it's documentary based, then I'll go through the audio that we have to work with from, whoever, whether it's a voiceover or our characters, and I'll kind of pick out the best audio and clips, and then I look for the best supporting shots, and then I kind of bring in the music and start timing everything out. So
Right.
it depends what the content is. Yeah. But for short stuff for social media, yeah, I typically find some music first if I have an idea of what's going on. So we have this clip here. All I did was type in music, and it's searching my entire project, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and grab this track here. Here's our track. And I went with something like very subtle and kind of changed the entire tone of this edit because the writing isn't very intense. We're not trying to be like Red Bull athletes in this particular project. It's really more about capturing the essence of getting out on your bike and that sort of stuff. So I went with a bit more calm track, I would say.
But the track can
Um,
really change it all up. I mean, if we put heavy rock
it,
under this, it would be a
oh
totally different
yeah,
feel.
yeah. We'd probably need some crashes or something, some bails, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I could spend some time cutting this up, but that's not what we're here for today.
We're here
So,
for the squiggles.
all right, Ryan, I set a hotkey for the remix tool. Do
Oh
you know what it
no.
might be?
Control R.
That would be great. Honestly, all my hotkeys are kind of used up, but I went with H because it was free, so it makes no sense. But I look at it when I look at the H key, I think like endpoints and I edit. Anyways, that key lives over here. This remix tool, that's what we're going to be using here on the left. So all you do, very similar to the generative extend, I can come over here and click it, and I can just drag this down to, I don't know, a spot here, and that was really fast.
That was really
It
fast.
analyzes it. That was like instant. Um, so yeah, we have this. The squiggly lines are the indicator of like, hey, we just remixed this track. And
Yep.
I will say it's not perfect all the time, if I'm being entirely honest. I typically find that it's a great starting point. In some songs, it works fantastic. Other songs, especially if there's like a lot of vocals or something, might not work as well because I think it kind of analyzes the beats in the track and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But let's kind of see what it did. Oh, gotta turn off our loop playback up here. So I think it did
Pretty
pretty well.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially
So
because it
that's
gets
all.
the cadence of the ups and the downs, like not just beats, but also the feeling of kind of like in and out. Sean is saying H is
Exactly.
for hotkey, but it's just one
Yes.
super
I
powerful
like
hotkey that is
Sean.
just
Sean mountain
H.
bikes in Bend, and he gets the hotkey game. I
Yeah.
like it. So you can also customize this a little bit. If you come over into this essential sound, again, set up your windows how you want them for the things that you use the most. If you don't have that window, just come over here to window and bring up essential sound, and you'll see that here wherever you decide to put it on your screen.
And this is in your
And
workspace, your second standard workspace. You don't necessarily need to have essential sound in every workspace, just the one that you
mhm,
want.
yeah, exactly. And so you can, what we did, we used the tool over here. You could also just come up over here and say, hey, I want it to be close to 30 seconds, plus or minus 5 is kind of where it works within. And then you toggle down this customize. You can edit, how many segments or edits are in it, or try to change around the variations. So it's grabbing different parts of the track and trying to mix it all together. Um,
Now, if I
do you
could only
guys want
take
to
my
know?
rambling tangents and get it to be nice and concise when I have to give a big speech or something.
I need that too because I talk a lot, but um I don't, so I don't know if I don't work for Adobe. I'm just here saying how awesome the stuff is, but I do know a fun little secret that I don't think many people know.
Ooh.
Should we show it?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So like I said, this is a fantastic tool. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't work as well, or sometimes, it's great except for one cut.
Right.
So I don't know. Um, I don't think this is very known, but essentially the way this works that I've discovered is this is kind of like a hidden nest. So what I mean is like if you were to take your sequence and nest it, that's basically what it's doing here. So there's actually a way to manipulate this even more than this customize here. And the way to do that is, let me see if I remember. So it's Control Shift F is going to be the hotkey for reveal a nested project or a nested sequence. So if we hit Control Shift F, watch what happens. It opens up a new
Ooh.
sequence. Now this sequence is not in here. You can't find this. If we come back and we try to say, hey, reveal in project, it's just going to show me the original music. But remember, go to, I don't even know if it's on the menus up here. I'm sure it's in there somewhere, but long story short, open up that nested sequence, Control Shift F, and then we see what's actually happening here. We
Wow.
have, the editing here, the cross dissolves. So sometimes you could come in here and say, hey, this is really close, but I need to fix one of these. I could come in here and bring this clip down. Let's make this bigger. And maybe I extend this and kind of see where the bars line up and see that, okay, like maybe this needs to be shifted just a little bit to like really be in the same beats and everything,
Or you could mute something
and then
out if you
just
needed
replace it.
to, or just like cut just one part, and then it kind of
Yeah.
all gets
So,
nested back in there again.
kind of, I don't, again, I don't know if that's like an official thing, but it's kind of just a little hack that I've discovered in
No, it's
my
fantastic.
years of editing. So, keep that in your toolbox if you ever need to kind of just make adjustments here.
And I went ahead. I
Um,
threw that in the chat for us. But if anybody here is also part of Discord server, I'll go ahead and I will just put it in the general section here. And then that way you guys can always go back to it if you need to.
Let's go ahead and power through some stuff because I see that we're burning through time. But hopefully we're having fun. So let's take a look here. I already pulled it up. I cheated, but I should have just done it over here because I'm relearning things. Let's type in VO, and basically this is that search panel up here where we can search shots and everything, but I know it's searching metadata as well, which I know those were named VO, but let's just grab one of these. And this is the voiceover that we're using.
Or when you'll have service. It's the energy, the sound.
So this text panel here, again, go to Windows, text. We can talk about text-based editing, which has been added recently into Premiere. So what you could do is, if I were to, we'll just kind of show this here, add a track. And let's bring this over here. And, we could go the traditional way and pull it from, oops, where'd my window go? This set of in point, out point, but we can also utilize this and say, hey, we're going to highlight this. It's not about who knows where you went. And we're going to say, set our track target to be here. And then we can just use the insert button. Oops. Oh, maybe because my playhead was in the wrong spot.
Also, do you
But
write
you
all your
see
stuff
here-
down first? Or do you kind of
Actually, I was going to get into that. So no, voiceover came much later. I did write some stuff down, but I used the record feature here originally, and I just used my own voice. And then we got some voiceover afterwards. So you hit this button here and it'll use your microphone. We can't do it because I'm live right now. But it'll count down and it'll play through your sequence with everything muted, and you can just record voice as you need to. So you can record your own voiceover within Premiere without having to go to a separate program. And you can see here, like I inserted that clip. I can also just highlight here, or when you'll have service, I can Control C and then just like Control V.
So that's great.
So,
and you know what I do? I'm not sure. I have my little
now.
hack that I bring up a lot. I feel like on these lives though, is when I'm recording audio, or even like in person when I'm not in front of the computer, I come up with like a word like spaghetti, or like omelet. And then that way, if I'm recording something, I'm like, oh, I need to cut here. I need to remember it later in text-based editing. I'll just say like omelet or spaghetti. And then when you go back to the transcript, you just search for that word and you know where you can cut it.
Yes. So I'm actually working with a client right now to do a bunch of video podcasts. And my goodness, this text editing has been just game changer because they're like, hey, I need you to change every one of these words or find out where in this 45-minute piece they were talking about this. And I can just type it in here, search it.
Yes.
And I mean, after the ride, and it finds it like right away, which is
whereas you
so
used
helpful.
to have to just be like, okay, I think it was anywhere between 15 minutes to 35 minutes into that interview. I need to figure that out.
Exactly. So I won't go through all this. I think you kind of get the idea here. Text-based editing, super helpful. Again, that's in the text window here, transcript. There's settings here, so you can have it search just the source, or we can search on the timeline after the ride, and it's going to move your playhead, and we see exactly where it was, which is kind of what we were just talking about. Or you can have it follow the monitor, so it's basically kind of like a sing-along as you play through it.
Karaoke.
Yeah, so there's the text-based editor. Let's get rid of that track for now. So let's chat really quick on audio and the essential audio panel here, essential sound, and just kind of how that's been updated. So other things you can do, you can tag your footage, or your audio rather, as different things. So you can say dialogue, music, sound effects, ambience. And what this is great for is, so I could highlight all these and I can come in here. I already did these ones. We'll clear it for a second. Clear audio type. So I can highlight all these and say, hey, this is all dialogue, all voiceover. And it brings up all these effects. So it used to be you had to know every single like effect you needed to throw on something, whether it's an EQ or a low pass, high pass, a shelf filter. And that's just a lot for somebody who is new to editing or maybe maybe like you, Ryan, who doesn't like sound.
Yeah, I do not like sound.
So so it's all been kind of thrown in here, the most common things to like make it really simple to edit things. And you can tag it all. So like if I click away from this and I have these tagged as dialogue and I want to edit all of them at once, I can just hit dialogue here and it's going to auto select all these ones here.
So
And
nice.
then I can also say, hey, these are my music, which it already knows. And then you could toggle these orange ones and say, hey, this was my sound effects. Whoops, I didn't want the blue ones. Sound effects here. And again, I already have these labeled, but if you unclick here, what we can do here is we can take these audio clips, we'll toggle some of this. And let's see. Now I got to remember how to do it.
I also just I
Oh, it's under
appreciate your
music,
color
sorry.
organization. It just makes it
Right?
so
It
much
just
easier.
makes more sense of like what's going on here.
Is that something
Um,
you have set up automated? Because I know you can in Premiere where you can be like, if it's this type of file, it comes in as this color. Or do you kind of
yeah,
have to go
yeah.
back secondary?
One of these days I might do that. If you come into labels here, you can set all your colors, do it. They even have a couple different versions here, so you can go super vibrant if you want.
Mm,
And then you can set the defaults for, audio is always Caribbean and that sort of stuff.
okay.
I have not done that. I
So
think
this is
one
a
of these
manual
days I
process for
will.
you, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a stream deck too. Like I have all these hotkeys and things I'd like to program on there, and it's like in my mind for one day.
Yep,
But I haven't gotten there.
down
So
the road.
we have music here. If you scroll down, there's kind of this duck against, which isn't the quack duck, but it sets keyframes. So if I maybe just let's see here. If I set all my things here, I can come to the music here. Actually, let's grab all the music and we can say, hey, we want to adjust, the keyframing automatically to the voiceover. So like when the voiceover comes in, it's going to auto keyframe. So we can set all that and hit generate keyframes. You're going to see these keyframes move a bit and it's in relation to this voiceover. Sorry, it's a little small. Let's see if we can make this window a little larger. So you see here, the music is automatically being lowered when this dialogue comes in, then it goes back up, comes back down. So just a really quick way, especially for social media, to kind of level all your audio properly and quickly and just kind
Yep.
of work through that really fast. So music tags, generate keyframes, and you can duck it against, the music. You can do it against sound effects, whatever makes sense for you.
No, it makes it a lot easier because I remember back in my agency days when I'd have the music and I would just be manually going in and adding ducking and bringing down decibels and bringing it back up. And it's
Yep.
just now it's a click of a button.
So let's talk color super fast, like some updates and things that have been happening in the color world. There's a lot happening in the color world, and there's a lot more coming. I think one of the coolest things that I find super useful is the addition of auto detecting log footage. And this is working for particular cameras. It's not eligible for what I have, like the Canon R3 yet. I know it's in the works, so I can't wait for when it is out. So if you shoot log on Canon, not already there yet, but if you come into this Lumetri, never know how to say that. That's going to be this one here. You're going to see there's actually little tabs here for whether it's edit or settings. If you come into this settings one, and actually let me grab a clip that this does work on, since it doesn't work on my Canon yet, but it does work on like red footage and a lot of other cameras, Sony, all the Sony cameras I believe it's working on. Let's grab just a couple clips here. So this is all red footage from a
Whoa,
different shoot, but also mountain biking. So this is the Red Bull stuff.
that's cool.
You see how it's very muted colors. Let's
Yeah,
grab, I'm going to grab all these two, and I'm also going to just go to my properties panel, and I'm going to hit fit so we can see
nice.
everything there.
Yep.
We'll just see the whole frame for now. And we can maybe zoom this in a bit. And I'm using the middle mouse button to kind of move this around and just scroll in and out. So if I come into my Lumetri color over here, and there's a couple different places to find this setting, but come down into settings here, you'll see, there's a project, there's preferences, there's applying it to the source clip, and we could have an entire episode on like just color in this. But the simple thing to note is this is red footage. It was shot on log. And without having to add LUTs or anything, it will automatically recognize your footage now if it was shot on log. And all you need to do is under project, just check auto detect log and raw media.
Now, Oliver's
And
asking, does it not work on
boom.
any Canon or just the newer ones?
I do think it's working on Canon Cinema, log cinema, which is different than like the R3 DSLR line. So I think, and don't quote me on it, but I think Cinema line of cameras it is working on. I know it's working on Red, and I know it's working on some Sony stuff. In fact, I think they might even have a drop down here. Because you can override it as well. Forget where it's at. There's a bunch of settings in here. Yeah, I don't remember where it's at. I know it's on here somewhere. And it'll show you kind of what cameras are there because you can override the setting if you wanted to. But super cool,
Nice.
like already a huge baseline for your color.
Yeah. I mean, look
And
at the yellow of
like,
his.
look at this.
Oh,
Like
wow. Look
we'll
at the
just toggle
sand.
this on and off. So that's actually
That's
snow,
beautiful. That's snow.
but
Oh,
sand works
wow.
too. That's
Yeah,
snow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was not cold enough for snow, but wow, look
It,
at
it
that.
was chilly there. Yeah, no, this is pretty high altitude where we were. So it was out in uh BC. So
Very
pretty cool
cool.
stuff. Super great feature. And then also, for those of us, that maybe don't have reds, we can look at some of this footage here. Let's grab again, we can push that down here. Let's grab like one of these shots here, maybe where she's grabbing the bike off of here. And let's just set our screen back to normal. So this shot's already got a little bit of color on it. Let's go ahead and just like reset all of that.
Look how much
I
darker it
think,
got. You really used it to pump the
yeah.
highlights.
And I think that was everything. Let me just make sure. So the traditional way too, you could always add your LUTs on here super easily. Just come in here and it's in a couple of, it's under basic and creative. I always just do it under basic because I like to see if it's there. You could also click over on this source. And if you add the LUT to the source, every time you use this clip on any timeline or anything, it's already going to be on there,
That's smart.
which is kind of nice that you don't have to reapply it every single time.
As long as you don't forget it and then double up somewhere else.
Yes, and that does happen. So be careful with what works for you. But we could add our LUT on here, and we already see the color change kind of happening. So it's giving you kind of that baseline to start from. Now, what you can also do is we can use our button down here. We added this comparison view. So if we hit comparison view, we get this fun little split screen that, you can toggle it however you want. You can do swipes, but this is great for color correction and just comparing shot to shot how things look. And
Where's it
then you
pulling
can
this other
adjust.
shot from?
Yeah, it's just so on your sequence. So this is the time code right here. And we can make this a bit bigger maybe. So this is the time code here. So you can just scroll through your edit and say, hey, I want the shot before, shot after. Let's go to maybe another shot with kind of her face on here. And what you could do, and I mean, the LUT looks pretty good already, but if you have this comparison mode up, what that works great for is if you come down to color wheels and match. The and match is the key. So
Okay.
you can toggle this here, and that's where this lives. Comparison view. You can check face detection and you can apply a match. And again, like in real world experience, sometimes this works great. Sometimes it's a starting point. Sometimes it doesn't work so great. But we hit
Right.
apply match. It's gonna like it already kind of shifted the hue of like those purples, that kind of magenta color to match a little bit closer to that shot. It gives you a great starting point of what's going on here. And if we pull up our scopes here, you can kind of, you'd go shot by shot and let's say, hey, we grab our next shot and apply match, use the comparison view, that sort of stuff. So I
And
think
do you normally approach color last? Like, what part of the
yes.
process are you normally doing color?
Yeah. So the process is typically you're doing your editing, you're gonna be doing your reviews and such. What I might do is if it's log footage, I might apply a LUT on it, just super basic, just to get it somewhere because clients love to be like, wow, this doesn't look very good, and we paid you a lot of money to shoot this. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
no, no, don't worry, it's okay. So just get it like at least looking blacks are black, whites are white, and then go from there. But yeah, typically color is like the very last thing.
Right.
Um, Maybe graphics actually, but I consider it the polishing phase. So your edits there, everything's approved. Let's turn off this comparison view. You're kind of going through your edit, you're refining positions. So in that properties tab, we have the fit, the fill. We can easily, move things around. The other thing too, if we have our shot here, if we were to bring this in, this is all, whoops, let's just grab any random little clip here. Set an in point, out point. So if we were to grab a clip here, and if you use these buttons here, you can drag video only or drag audio only, which is kind of nice if you're not really
Nice.
using the audio from that and designing. So you're going to see, it's pretty big right now because if we click this wireframe here and zoom out, we see this is actually 4K footage. So we're not seeing the whole shot, and we can click around. By the way, this snapping to the program monitor, those red lines, that's not on by default, which is another helpful thing.
How do you turn those on?
If you go to view, snap in program monitor. So use that a lot. But yeah, you could resize this. You could also simply come over to effects and use auto reframe
Of course. Which helps a
and
lot when
just
you're
throw
going
that on.
from a
And
horizontal
it
to vertical edit.
exactly. So exactly what this is for. And it kind of figures out, okay, this is probably the point of interest. This is the size it needs to be. If we click on the shot here, we might have to cheat it a bit because it turns that off. Auto reframe. We see the wireframe is now matching top and bottom. So it's utilizing as much as it can of the footage and kind of picking that spot. So auto reframe is another great tool. So this is all kind of the polishing phase and getting things set up.
And that's so
Of
important for auto
course,
reframe. You have a little bit of functionality in being able to teach the program what you're trying to adjust rather than just having to turn it off and then move it around. Within the
mhm.
properties panel, you can also adjust it there.
Yeah, and if we do that here, you can also come in here. If it's not what you want it to be, you could simply, let's make this a little bigger. You can override it or set your own keyframes. So you can overwrite the keyframes here. You'll
Nice.
see the work that it's doing. You can adjust them. Or you could just reset the offset and say, hey, I want it to be a little more like there and keep all the keyframes in the same place.
And this is kind of doing that idea of improving the work of using a tool rather than having the tool just do everything for you. It's better by you. It's the
Exactly.
idea that you are going in, and whether we're like looking into the remix tool and we're looking into the adjustments there, or we're looking into, changing the auto reframe and adjusting it there, it's like you have your hand in the process and you know what's best at the end. So being able to use these tools to your benefit, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I know we're getting
We're just at
close to
about
time
time.
here. I'll just
Yeah.
talk about really quick. You can do basic graphic stuff inside of Premiere now much easier. You used to not be able to do this very well. But then again, I guess 12 years ago, you couldn't change your sequence settings without making a new sequence. So
Yeah.
in the preferences or the properties panel here, you can use the pen tool. You can draw lines. You can draw shapes, just like shape layers would work in After Effects. You can rename them, change the stroke, do all that, move it all around. So graphics have gotten much better. The other thing we didn't get to talk about, the last thing, was creating captions. So under that text window here, so it already transcribed our sequence here. What you could do is come to this captions submenu and then create captions from transcript. Um, and you can change the preferences. And this is great for social media, but also the podcast video I'm working on. Half of that project is just updating captions. So it'll do its thing, create captions, and then boom, we have captions now on here that are editable. Again, in Premiere years ago, it used to not be super intuitive to change that stuff. That's all improved. It's better. And on top of that, we could even take this and we can translate captions, which is a new feature, and we can automatically do it for different languages here. So we got English. This is the source language, and you can select all kinds of different languages here, and it'll automatically translate your captions and create. I mean, we could do Dutch. I don't know if that'll be. I won't be able to
Do you
verify
speak
it,
Dutch? I was gonna
but
say,
it's
yeah. Can you verify this on the spot?
I don't know. Maybe we got someone in the chat who could help us out here. So super quick, and it just adds another sub title track here, and we can see that. Hey, look at that. Let's go full screen here. Oops.
That's exactly what it says. That's
And
entirely accurate.
yeah, spot on. I couldn't verify it, but if anyone speaks Dutch, let us know. So yeah, that's kind of like some of the updates. If you haven't looked at Premiere recently, there's a lot going on. Check it out. Come back, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for walking us through all of that. Thank you for showing us your process. Thanks for sharing, the Pacific Northwest with us. Very nice to see. And then also, I'm really specifically walking away with this knowing that kind of Easter egg for the remix tool is going to help me out a lot because I've had a few times where I've had to backtrack, be like, oh, this doesn't work, so I just guess I can't use this tool. But then
Yeah.
it's nice to know that that's there.
Yeah, I'd
but
be
yeah.
curious, people watching, if you learned something, just drop it in the comments. Let me know what you enjoyed most about the stream, or if you're watching in the future, just leave a comment on it.
Yeah,
Let me
what you're
know,
most
because I look
excited
at that
about.
stuff. Yeah, it's good for me to know.
Well, make sure you guys stay tuned here on Adobe Live. We've got another show coming up for you next, which is Comic Book Magic with Adobe Express for the education team. And this is learning how to create engaging comic panels in Adobe Express using generative AI. That's going to be with Claudio and Wazy. So make sure you stick around. You should be going right there after this. But thank you so much for being here, and we will see you all real soon.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.